Hi everyone, it's Sean from Up. Welcome back to another video and happy review day. Yes, we're going to review episode 4 of season 3, A Road to the Spear. Now, the Wheel of Time has done a lot of good things, a lot of right things this season, but this is just above and beyond that. So if you love the Wheel of Time, if you're as excited as I am about season 3 and all the goings on, if you just want to keep up with the news, consider making us your home for Wheel of Time news. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, and of course tell all your friends. Now, this review will be, of course, like my other reviews. First half will be spoiler-free. We'll talk about it in a very general sense, and then we'll dive into spoilers in about middle of the video. Maybe a bit earlier than middle of the video, because there's some specifics that I'm dying to talk about with you folks. But I want to start this review off by saying this. When I gave episode 1 of this season a 10, it's because I had only seen episode 1. And then I continued to watch the season, and I realized not only were there multiple 10s, but there were episodes, or there was an episode in particular that deserved better than a 10. And episode 4 is that episode. So not only is this the best episode of Wheel of Time, and it is, bar none, hands down, episode 4, Road to the Spear, is the best episode of the Wheel of Time. It is also, in my opinion, the best episode of fantasy TV we've ever gotten. And I know there are a lot of Game of Thrones fans out there. I know there are a lot of House of the Dragon fans out there. I know there are a lot of Rings of Power fans out there. And I know there are a lot of Willow. There's a ton of other fantasy shows out there right now. I'm standing by that. I enjoyed this far more than I enjoyed any other episode of fantasy TV I've ever watched in my life. And for a lot of different reasons, folks. So not only was the dialogue and the writing impeccable. It really, truly was in this particular episode, but the delivery by the actors and the actresses involved was top-notch. I've said that a lot about these episodes in Season 3, that the writing is tighter, it's better, it's just another level, and so is the acting. This episode, again, elevates that even more. You have one particular actor playing multiple characters, and he makes it believable that he is these multiple characters. It's kind of hard for anybody other than Eddie Murphy to do, in my opinion, but it worked, and it worked really well. The locations, the VFX, and the camera angles. I want to talk a bit about that stuff and the way they shot the cinematography. They did some really, really cool stuff, blending the special effects and VFX with natural locations in this particular episode. And it's one of those things that I don't normally like, but it worked so well that you were just immersed into what was happening. And the cinematography in this, they did some experimental stuff, some things that I don't think they have done in the Wheel of Time or in many fantasy shows or any fantasy show before, for that matter, in some of the scenes, and it worked really, really well. Not only did it create that much more emphasis on what was going on, it led you to believe that what was happening was confusing and frightening and just all kinds of jumble at the same time. It was the way the cinematography, we'll have to talk about the spoiler section because I can't really get into it too much other than the fact that they used a circular camera and it just kept going in circles over and over and over again like a wheel. And folks, the symbolism in that was not lost on me, and it was very striking to see on screen. Costuming, again, top notch. Just everything about this episode start to finish was great. There were a lot of really great character building and world building moments in this episode. But it was interspersed with just enough action and just enough excitement that the average viewer that maybe doesn't know the lore or know things behind what's going on this episode would get bored. Not at all. In fact, you're engrossed into it, and then you were hit with a little bit of action, and it was nice. It just worked out. It flowed well. The entire episode, I think, start to finish, was just one of those things that I will watch on repeat, even if, and I don't want to say, I'm not going to vocalize it, but even if this is as good as it gets for the Wheel of Time, I think they've done it. I think they've cracked the code, and I think this is it. There are many news outlets talking about it today already. There's a lot of reviewers talking about it today already. A lot of people that don't know the books at all that are saying that this is one of their favorite episodes of fantasy TV ever, and I agree with every single one of them. So when I gave episode 1 10, like I said, I didn't realize there would be episodes that are better than it this season, and there are. And this episode is better than episode 1, so I can only give it a 10, but I'll show you my notes when I was watching. There's a whole bunch of pluses next to that 10 because I couldn't get over how good this episode was and how perfectly they did everything. Now, Now, you have to understand, we are separating books from show here. That's how I do my reviews, and I didn't mention it at the first review, I don't think, but I'm not going to go back and put it in there now. But I am reminding you that I'm separating books and show. This is just reviewing it based on its own merits, the show by itself, without any reference to book material. But I want to talk about the book material stuff at the end of the video. So after my spoiler part of the review is done, we're going to talk about book stuff, because this episode not only was amazing to show watchers, I think it is going to have a very special place in a lot of book fans' hearts, myself included, because of the way certain material was handled, and it was handled so well. So anyway, 10 plus is what I gave this one. That's not a score. I know that's not, folks, but this is certainly better than episode 1, and I gave episode 1 a 10. I can't give a higher score for this episode. It is, in my opinion, perfect TV. So now we're going to bring up this little spoilery hand of doom there. So you see the little spoiler hand there. If you've not read the Wheel of Time books 1 through 5, The Otherworld Through the Fires of Heaven by Robert Jordan, please be forewarned, I'm going to ruin plot points and character arcs from that medium in this section. I'm also going to ruin parts of the show, too. So if you have not seen the first 3 seasons, all the way up to including episode 4 of season 3, which is all that's out right now, I'm going to ruin this episode because we're going to talk about it in detail. So yeah, so a lot of really great slowdown moments for show watchers and a lot of really great slowdown moments for book fans. I'll get into the book fan ones at the end of the video because, again, that is not part of my review. But we had some character building moments between Rand and Lan. We had some moments between Rand and Aviendha, as well as Rand and Moiraine, interspersed with that absolutely amazing and well choreographed fight scene between Aviendha and Lan. I really, really enjoyed that. And the costuming. Savannah's costume, I don't think I've seen a costume I liked more. And that's saying something. Sharon Gillan and her team are wild. I loved Samael's costume. I loved Queen Morghase's costume this season. Elida's dresses and jewelry, perfection. But Savannah was just on another level. Savannah's one of those characters that was not in this episode very much, but she definitely took the stage. They made a very, very good choice in the actress who plays Savannah. And I, for one, am really happy that she's part of the Wheel of Time universe, even if it is only for a little bit. And because we're not quite sure exactly how many more seasons we're going to get, when they're going to air. We don't know, but she is a treat. I just come off of watching Halo with her. She's fantastic. And then you had them entering Rhuidean. So you had the special effects and VFX surrounding the city, the giant statues. I haven't seen something that believable and nice since I watched the Lord of the Rings movies, and this did it way better, in my opinion. It was far more realistic and believable than the giant statues in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. The objects of power, so the glass columns, the rings, the way things were slowed down and filmed within the rings with Aviendha and Moiraine, just invoked that fear, that confusion. The ring camera, when they were doing the shots of Moiraine, flickering. So that's what it was. It was flickering between possible futures, and we'll talk about that again in the book part of this review. Time is a wheel, and it just repeats itself over and over and over again, and that's why this is the Wheel of Time, folks. That's why it's called that. And them using a ring camera to use that to symbolize all of the different possible futures that Moiraine was living and dying in repeatedly over and over and over again at the hands of Lanfear was wild. And like I said earlier in the video, the symbolism was not lost on me, and it was something that I thought was very smart in the way they filmed it. Rafe Judkins said it was experimental and they weren't sure how it was going to work out. I'm telling you right now, folks, it worked out. I loved every minute of it. You see some things, some shows try to do things like this, some of the Marvel movies, especially the Doctor Strange movies, did this. The Avengers movies did it. There's a few other movies out there that did that kind of circle move, and to me, whenever I've seen that kind of camera work, it always made me sick. It always made me a little sick to my stomach, and I'm like, it doesn't look great. It looks kind of cheesy. I didn't enjoy it. The way they did this, where it was just like whoomp, 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 going through all Moraine's lives, doing that big circle like you're on a wheel. It for whatever reason, it worked out way better than anything I've seen like that before. seeing Rand step back through his past lives, seeing him play the other characters, seeing him play his ancestors. Again, Yosha Straczynski's a good actor. I've never said anything other than great things about him, but it takes a special kind of actor to play multiple different characters and have you believe that not only are they multiple different characters, they are multiple different characters interacting in the world in a different fashion, in a different way. That's going to be hard for an actor. And again, the only actor I've ever really seen do that to any great extent that that did a good job at it, I'll say two actors. So Mike Myers, he is a Canadian comedian, for those of you who are not from Canada and may not know him. Austin Powers, Wayne's World, SNL fame, and Eddie Murphy. They're the two that I think do it really well. And when I knew, I'd found out a little over a year ago that Yosha was going to play as all his ancestors. They're the first two people I thought of, and I went and watched a few movies and a few skits and shorts by them where they did play multiple characters. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, Yosha's a good actor, but this is wild. It's hard. And he made me believe that each one of those characters was different. They had different ways they moved, different walks, different inflections in their voice and their tone, different ways they looked at things. Even the old man, when he was playing the older gentleman that was with the wagons with his grandson, he moved like his bones were sore. I mean, I'm an old dude and my bones are sore all the time. I move like that. And I was like, hey, I know what's wrong with him. It's arthritis. Yeah, it was just a great treat start to finish. Again, 10 plus is what I gave it. I have not seen a better episode of fantasy TV yet, and I suspect I probably never will. It's going to be very hard to top this. And just for those of you out there who don't know, Rafe Judkins had a writing credit on this, and as far as I'm concerned, he knocked this out of the park. There's been a lot of talk about Rafe and his writing abilities and skills over the last couple of seasons, and I guess by accident, some of that may have been by me, but I never once talked about him not being able to write. But I did not enjoy the last two episodes, or the last episode of season 1 and the last episode of season 2, and he had writing credit on both of those. And this one here, for anyone out there who didn't enjoy his writing before, this fully and unequivocally redeems him in every way, shape, and form that I could possibly think of. This was perfectly written. It was done so well. Rafe Judkins definitely deserves an award for the writing on this. Cinematographers deserve an award. The editors as well deserve an award. Costuming deserves an award. The actors all deserve awards. This episode is what we're going to see come award season, I believe. And if it doesn't win multiple awards, I think the fans should just riot. Like it would be wild to me if you, not just nominations but awards. Like the Wheel Time should win awards for this episode. That's how good it was. All right, so now we're going to shift just a bit into book mode, a little bit. Things that we've seen in this episode that meant a lot to me as a book fan. Again, this does not factor into my 10 plus review. That's the show standing alone did that. If you added the fact that it just made my inner fanboy flip out the whole time, and I was just like the pure amount of fan service, and not fan service you folks are thinking of that watch anime. We didn't get a lot of that this episode. But just the fan service for book fans was wild. Flame the Void. That was name dropped during Lan and Rand's conversations. The fact that Tam's a Blade Master and that Rand is aspiring to become a Blade Master was brought up. Big things in the books that haven't really been mentioned in the show yet. And this was the perfect place to mention them. Moraine and Rand's conversations where Rand is basically like, yeah, I'm going to do what I want. Like the way they discussed and were with each other. And then when they went down, he held her on the way back out of Rodian, carrying her back up. Perfect chef's kiss. I mean, that's not the way that happened in the books. Don't get me wrong, it was a little bit different, but I liked that. Not seeing Matt was a little bit of a disappointment, but considering what we've seen from Matt so far this season, and what we plan on seeing from him this season, I wasn't. In fact, I will fully admit this. I didn't notice Matt wasn't there. That's how much I like this episode. It was not a thing that even clicked in my mind that we need to see those scenes from Matt and Rodian. How are we going to see them elsewhere? Didn't cross my mind. That's how well this was filmed, written, and presented. It was just wild. Watching Rand walk through his ancestors' lives was perfect. Seeing the Age of Legends, seeing Mirian. For those of you who may be a little confused about that, that's Lanfear prior to becoming Forsaken. Seeing the boar being drilled Oh my goodness. That was something I didn't expect us to see on screen. I didn't expect them to show that ever in the Wheel of Time show, and they did. And the way they did it was perfect. Um, Moraine's lives. Again, that circular camera work, Life is a Wheel, absolutely amazing. It's not something we've seen in the books. It was mentioned a few times. It was referenced, but it was not like a chapter point of view. It was a Moraine point of view where she stepped through the rings and she's seen all these things. But getting to see some of that, seeing the stuff that was mentioned or described off page, to me, that is one of the biggest treats the Wheel of Time shows because I love the books so much. They're not making any more of them. There was talk years and years ago, and I did hear a video here on the channel about it, which actually caused a little bit of a kerfuffle about possible prequels and sequels, like outrigger novels. And they never came to fruition. It never happened. There was just very, very light talks about it, and it probably never will happen. I don't believe Robert Jordan ever wanted anyone to write in this world. So this is it, folks. This is the Wheel of Time we're getting. We have the Wheel of Time world. We're not getting new Wheel of Time. We're not getting new stories. And being able to see parts of the story that were described in the books, but never really happened on page, is about as close to that as we're going to get, and it makes my inner child very happy every time I see it. So, yeah, I've never given a review as a book fan before. I won't score it as a book fan because it's not going to take away from the score of the show. 10 plus plus plus. But as a book fan, this is also 100% my favorite episode of the Wheel of Time, bar none. Not ashamed to admit, I was very emotional throughout the entire episode. I watched it many times. Many times. I think in one sitting I watched it 3 times in a row. Folks, it's perfect TV. And I, for one, am very happy that we got a season 3, and I'm very happy that we got Roydian and that we got this far and that it was presented and shown in the way it was. It was one of those things I was a little nervous about because there are some things the Wheel of Time has to get right, in my opinion. And just like any other fan out there, whether you're a show fan only or whether you're a book fan or whether you're both, there are things the show has to get right. Everybody has their own little things. This was one of those check boxes in my mind, and it was exceeded all my expectations. So anyway, what's coming next for me? So you're going to get an Easter egg video about this tomorrow. You'll get a breakdown video about the differences between the books and the show the following day. Then you're going to get a couple of interviews. I did an interview with Shore Dishelu, and I also did an interview with Kate Fleetwood. Both of those have no spoilers beyond episode 4, so they're both free to share. You'll get those probably within the same video because they're not terribly long interviews. I think they're 4 or 5 minutes each. But I got to ask them a few questions. It was a whole lot of fun. You'll see those coming from me probably later this weekend, earlier next week. We have news videos to do, folks. Yes, I promised you 2 videos today, but unfortunately life happened. You're getting the review from me today, and that's about all I have time for. So the news is going to continue building. There'll be a couple of news videos covering all the news and the social media posts and all the hype and excitement the last few weeks. And on that note, I want to thank a lot of you out there who are sending me things. I've gotten a ton of emails lately about different things. I got an email from someone about an article in the TV Guide. I got a few more emails about articles in some other news that wouldn't be considered, I guess, mainstream here in North America, but it's all Wheel of Time based. So if you folks see anything and you want to send it to me, I am more than happy to get it. I may not be able to reply every single time, so you do get a fair number of emails each day, but I do really appreciate getting them. And if I use those things in a video, I will definitely credit the person who sent it to me. So there's that. Yeah, anyway, what a wonderful episode. I for one, no words, folks. No words. Just 10s all around. Thanks so much for sticking with me here at the very end. Here's to many more.